Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome to my channel. One of the things that I have seen pop up in the last few days on YouTube is conversations on whether or not game journalists should be good at the games they are reviewing. And my thoughts is yes, you should. Definitely yes. Don't get me wrong, if you're more of a journalist than a gamer and you're just doing interviews and you're covering some of the events and you do have at least enough competency of the lingo to report fairly, that's fine. But you should not be reviewing and critiquing a game that you yourself are not good at that type of game, because how can you tell if the game is poor? How can you tell it's just not your skills that are the problem? How can you tell that it's something that would be a problem for other people who like this game genre if you yourself don't like the game genre? A good example of this that did come with more of the mainstream game review was Ducktales Remastered review over on GameSpot, and this one I also have to point out and poke fun of just a little bit. It's an older review. The game's been out for several years. And DuckTales Remastered has plenty of reasons for people to hate on it. Me, I think it's a pretty decent game, but not exactly a great remake of the original DuckTales, but a pretty decent standalone game on itself. But there's plenty of reasons for people to hate it, because it's not very faithful to the NES DuckTales. If you buy the Disney Afternoon Collection and then you buy DuckTales Remastered, the games you're going to be playing are quite a bit different from each other, but they're still both fun. But I can understand the criticism from the old DuckTales fans about them having to change the layout on a lot of the stages, too many cutscenes, etc. However, GameSpot chose a reviewer when they did their review who was used to first-person shooters. So why would someone who only plays first-person shooters, is only good at first-person shooters, be really crappy at reviewing a game like DuckTales Remastered? Well, if you take a look at what first-person shooters oftentimes go on, you enter a room or an arena where there's some defense shielding for both you and the enemies, and you have to figure out the best tactics to get around, thinking on your feet to guide you and some computer-controlled AI around to shoot the bad guys and then move your troop to the next stage, usually. However, a platformer like DuckTales Remastered and old-fashioned platformers usually operate on a different way of thinking. Usually it's more action-based, what's there in front of you in the moment. And if you die, you take a much bigger penalty. In first-person shooters, you just re-enter that arena and the game restarts there. Usually once you're done with an arena, you move on to the next arena after a hallway or something. That's generally how these games work. 2D platformers, you go back to the last checkpoint, which is usually a lot further. And in old-fashioned 2D platformers, when you get a game over, you have to restart the stage again. Something first-person shooters, the modern-day first-person shooters, would never have you do. So this guy thought it was unnerving and a bad game to have him restart the entire stage again just because he died too many times, and thought that was unfair. Now, as someone who likes to still play old-fashioned 2D platformers, most people who read it and commented was like, "What the hell were you talking about, sir? This is what we're used to." They gave the game to review to the wrong guy, and it suffered for it. It's why you won't ever see me probably review a Madden game. Now, I do own one or two of them, usually hand-me-downs from somebody else, but I'm not a big football fan. I get enough of the gist to understand the basic rules of football, but if you ask me what's the difference between offsides, onsides, pass interference, I wouldn't know, and playing the Madden games, that always annoys the hell out of me, because usually it seems like I'm being stopped half the time by the ref for calling a penalty, and if I did a review saying, "Well, this game sucks because the ref's always calling me for a penalty," most gamers who buy Madden wanting that football experience would be telling me, "What the hell, why are you blasting it for something that we as Madden fans, we as football fans want to have there. We want to have a realistic football experience. Therefore, I would be very bad at reviewing the game, and unless I told you I'm not really good at this game, so here's the curve, and I do it straight up, I am being flat out dishonest. So yeah, if the game person who is trying to deliver a critique is not good at that genre, does not understand that genre of gaming, and is not competent, then there's no way they can give out a really good critique. And if they're not being upfront and honest about the curve they're going to have to give the game, then you can't trust their reviews. That's just all there is to it. So yeah, I'm sorry, the guy who probably is reviewing Cuphead was trying to do his best. He was trying to poke fun of himself. But from what I've heard, he's reviewed other games he wasn't good at and didn't understand the core gameplay of and gave out lousy reviews to. And I'm sorry, you're going to have to try harder. You're going to have to get good or use your journalism degree in another field. There are plenty of areas where you can have a journalism degree and probably still make good money outside of video games, sir. This is Tommy the Game Master, thanking you for listening to this rant. I'll see you guys later.